Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Thursday, January 31st. You very well may, in fact, most Americans are, eligible for free online tax preparation and free e-filing. Yesterday was the first day that you could file your taxes, have them accepted by the IRS this year, and about 70% of Americans make $57,000 in adjusted gross income or less. And that is the level for you to be able to file your 2012 online taxes for free online and also use free online tax preparation software. So if you're someone who purchases software and otherwise files and prepare your taxes online yourself, well, this certainly makes sense to go ahead and do it. And I have the link, the physical link to the IRS website where you can take advantage of this program on my physical cheat sheet. Go check that out today and see if it's something that you could take advantage of. Meanwhile, while we were sleeping, mortgage rates are creeping higher. I've been worried about interest rates potentially heading higher later this year. We see that interest rates have ticked up about 0.3% over the last 3 weeks, about 0.1% a week. An average 30-year fix now is going for about 3.6 to 3.7% above its lows. And here's something that is important to consider. We don't know if things will level out and bump around for a while because of the poor economic data later. It's possible, but here's the one thing to put in perspective: we do have interest rates right now that are nearly 1 point lower than they were a year ago at this time. And what's significant in nature is that increasingly people are putting off decisions on interest rates because they believe that they are going to be at these levels for an extended period of time. The problem is, if you're considering maybe something in the later half of this year, and we continue the trend we've been seeing, we could very well be back at those levels we were a year ago in the 4.5 range. Well, there's a big difference between the mid to upper threes and the mid to upper fours in terms of interest rate. So you might want to lock in if you're going to consider financing for as long as you can right now, and then if you end up not financing, fine, but at least you locked your rate in so that if rates do continue to slow creep higher, you're protected. Speaking of protection, today's question comes from a listener that says that their bank offers some identity protection services, and including some guarantees if their identity is compromised, any of their bank records. Do they still need an identity protection service? Now, increasingly, there are banks that are offering some of these ID protection services, but I still believe that from an insurance policy kind of standpoint, that's the way I look at identity protection. It simply makes sense. And there's one reason above all other that I think it's important. Even if your bank or some other financial institution you work with offers you some level of identity protection service, the one thing that they are not likely to do, I've not known of any bank that will, is use their legal team to support you if your identity is compromised. So maybe they'll help you shut down your accounts. Maybe they'll close off all the accounts well and even reimburse some money. But are they going to be able to help clear the record, clear your name, deal with creditors if there are bogus charges, bogus accounts? That's where having an identity protection service that has legal support is important, because otherwise you're going to be the one that's on the phone dealing with institutions, dealing with banks, dealing with whatever agency, trying to get this all taken care of, or you're going to be hiring your own attorney, which will be super expensive. Look for an identity protection service that has legal protection attached to it. For the cost per year, which you're looking at for yourself, probably in the neighborhood of $100 to $125 for a really good ID protection service. That's just a smart insurance policy. So yes, regardless of if you have some protection, I still highly recommend going with one of the top ID protection services on the market that offers full legal support. So in a worst case scenario, you can let their folks do the heavy lifting for you, and you won't be wasting months of your time trying to clear up all of the issues. If you want to upgrade to Windows 8, you should be doing it today. Why? Well, because right now you can upgrade to Windows 8 on what had been the original pricing, $40. $40 download, upload to download Windows 8 to an existing computer. Tomorrow goes to the full freight price of $199. So today is definitely the day. if you want to make that upgrade. Also, there will be better pricing for students tomorrow, but still not as good as the $40 price tag. Collegiate students will have the opportunity to upgrade for $70, which is obviously a lot less than that $200 tag, but still not near as good as the $40 that everybody can upgrade to today. And finally, economic information from yesterday. Might have noticed negative for the fourth quarter, something that nobody had been counting on. Remember, for the entire last quarter of last year, I was really leery of where the economy could go. I was warning of, the severe risk of recession. Said that if we did go over the fiscal cliff, recession was baked into the cake and guaranteed. While I was more cautious than anybody else out there, any other economic report that I saw, still didn't expect negative economic growth. And here's the important thing. That's 50% of the way to a recession. Now, the good news is, as I take a look at January, I put out my latest economic research, sometime last week, that showed that real time, I believe we're growing at about 2.52% in January, which is nice. But don't look now. If people pull in because they're nervous about what we received yesterday and the fear of recession again, maybe it could become a self-fulfilling prophecy, less consumer spending in February and the economy slows down. But here's the big thing. March 1st, sequestration right now would take effect. All those spending, automatic spending cuts in Washington. And if you have that 1-2 punch where we rein in consumer spending because we're nervous, and then that happens March 1st, well, that gives you something to think about. Cheat sheet for today. Enjoy yours, and see you tomorrow.